The Cry in the Crater. The sky above planet Cylon 3 was always dark. Thick purple clouds covered the sun, and strong winds howled across the rocky ground. It was not a place where life grew. But for Jace Morgan, it was home for now. Jace was a human scavenger. He came to these dead planets to search for old alien tech. He lived alone inside a small rusty spaceship called the Rin. It was quiet, and sometimes lonely, but Jace didn't mind. He had seen too much war back on Earth. Now he just wanted peace. That day, Jace was walking near the edge of a large crater. His scanner beeped softly. Something down there was giving off energy. He looked down and saw nothing but dust and broken rocks. Then he heard it. A sound. A soft, weak cry. It was not a machine. It was not the wind. It sounded alive. Jace narrowed his eyes. "Is that a baby?" he whispered. He tapped his wrist and spoke to his AI assistant. "Raven, pick up that sound." "Yes, Jace," the AI replied. Unusual audio detected. Organic life form. Very weak. "What species?" he asked. "Unknown, but dangerous to approach." Jace didn't care. Something was crying. Without waiting, he climbed down the steep side of the crater. Rocks slipped under his boots, and sharp winds pushed against him. But the cry grew louder. It was coming from a small pile of cloth and metal near the bottom. When he reached it, Jace froze. Lying there, half covered in a torn blanket, was a tiny alien baby. Its skin was pale blue. It had glowing white eyes and small gills on its neck. It was shivering, gasping for air, its tiny hands reaching up weakly. Jace's heart pounded. "What kind of creature leaves a baby here?" he said aloud. "Species match." "Xerna," Raven said. "This is a newborn female. Xerna are known to abandon weak or sick children. They believe it is better for the species." Jace clenched his fists. "That's horrible." He looked around. No one else was there. Just silence, wind, and the fragile child. Jace knelt down and slowly picked up the baby. She was ice cold. Her breathing was slow. "She won't survive out here," he said. "Warning," Raven said. Xerna law forbids outsiders from taking or helping their kind. This action may be seen as a crime. Jace didn't answer. He wrapped the baby inside his jacket. "I don't care about their laws," he said. "She needs help. Now." He stood and began climbing back up the crater wall, one hand holding the baby, the other gripping rocks. Then Raven gave a chilling update. "Alert. 4 Xerna ships approaching. Estimated arrival. 2 minutes." Jace's eyes widened. "They're coming back. Most likely to confirm the child's death." Jace moved faster. He reached the top of the crater and ran toward his ship. The wind was stronger now, throwing dust into the air. He ran through the hatch of the Wren and sealed the door. The baby whimpered in his arms. "Start engines," he shouted. The ship hummed to life. Lights flashed on, and the controls lit up. He laid the baby gently in a soft medical pod and covered her with a heat blanket. Her tiny chest moved slowly but steadily now. Outside, red warning lights blinked. "Enemy ships detected," Raven said. "They are scanning the area." Jace gritted his teeth. "Hold steady." He watched the screen. The Xerna ships hovered nearby, dark and silent. But after a minute, they began to fly away. "Did they see us?" Jace asked. "No," Raven replied. "Their scanners failed to detect a life form." Jace let out a slow breath. "Good. Keep us low. We're leaving this planet." As the ship lifted off, he looked back at the crater. Then a memory hit him. Years ago, his own daughter had died in a bombing on Earth. He hadn't been there to save her. He had lived with the guilt every day since. But now, he looked at the alien child, safe inside the pod. Now he had a chance to protect someone. He smiled softly. "I'm calling you Luma," he said. The baby's eyes blinked slowly, as if she understood. Just as the ship entered the clouds, the engine lights flickered. Jace frowned. "Raven, what's wrong?" "Unusual energy detected," the eye replied. "It's coming from the child." Jace looked back at Luma, and then he saw it. Her skin was glowing. The species that hates mercy. The stars stretched like endless dots across the cold black sky as the Wren cruised slowly through deep space. Inside, Jace Morgan stood quietly near the medical pod, watching the tiny alien child breathe. Her name was Luma now, and her skin, once pale blue, was now softly glowing. Faint waves of light pulsing from her chest, like a heartbeat. Jace had never seen anything like it. "Still glowing?" he asked aloud, his voice quiet. "Confirmed," said Raven, the ship's eye. "She is emitting low-level bioenergy. It is unfamiliar." Jace rubbed his chin. "Is it dangerous?" "Unknown, but her energy is interacting with the ship's systems." Jace glanced at the control panel. Some lights flickered. The ship had never done that before. He looked back at Luma. She looked peaceful now, no longer shivering. Her small hands curled softly near her cheeks. She looked like any baby, fragile, innocent. But Jace knew better. This baby was different, special, and now he had to protect her. He sighed and sat down. "Tell me everything you know about that Exurna," he said. Raven's voice shifted to a softer, more formal tone. "The Exurna Empire spans over 12 star systems, insectoid humanoid species, highly advanced, extremely aggressive. They believe in strength above all else. Compassion is considered weakness." Jace nodded slowly. "That's why they left her to die." "Yes," Raven replied. "Any Exurna child born sick, weak, or imperfect is abandoned at birth. Mercy is forbidden. It is a crime punishable by death." Jace's eyes narrowed. "They would kill someone for being kind." "Yes." He leaned back and closed his eyes, remembering the moment he found Luma in that cold crater, left to die, just because she was weak. He clenched his jaw. How many others had they left behind? Raven was quiet. Jace shook his head. "They think strength is power. But what I saw in her, that was life. Real life." A soft cry pulled him out of his thoughts. Luma was waking up. She opened her glowing eyes and blinked at him. For a moment, she just stared. And then, her tiny mouth curled into something like a smile. Jace felt something warm move in his chest, something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. He picked her up gently and held her close. "You're safe now," he whispered. But they weren't safe. Not even close. Suddenly, Raven's voice turned sharp. "Alert. Incoming signal. Multiple ships detected. Pursuit class. Exurna technology confirmed." Jace's eyes shot open. "They found us." "Most likely. Scanning for their warp trail. They were tracking us the moment we left the planet. How long until they reach us?" 15 minutes. Jace stood up quickly and placed Luma back in the pod. He rushed to the controls. "Can we outrun them?" "Negative. Their ships are faster." Jace's mind raced. He couldn't let them take her. If the Exurna caught them, they'd destroy the child. Maybe even him. And Earth could become a target too. He needed help. And he knew only one person crazy enough to offer it. He tapped into the comm system. "Raven, open a line to Mira Talon." There was static for a few seconds. Then a voice came through. "You better have a good reason for calling me." "Jace," said a woman's voice, rough but calm. "I need a favor," he replied. "A big one." There was a pause. "What did you do this time?" "I'd rescued a Exurna baby." Silence. "You what?" "She was dying. I couldn't just leave her there." "Do you realize what you've done? The Exurna will start a war over this. They see mercy as treason." "I don't care," Jace said. "She's just a child." Mira sighed heavily. Where are you? Sector 9, near the asteroid belt. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Don't die before I arrive. The line cut off. Jace turned back to the baby, her soft light now glowing brighter than before. He whispered, "Hang in there, Luma. Help is coming." But outside, the enemy was already closer than he thought. The Tsirina warship was massive, black, spiked, and shaped like a claw. Inside, a group of tall, armored Tsirina warriors stood before a large screen. On it, Luma's image appeared, a baby, glowing, alive. The leader, High Commander Vrax, snarled, "The child lives." Another Tsirina nodded, confirmed, rescued by human male. Vrax slammed his fist into the wall. That human has committed the highest crime, mercy. He must be erased. The child must be erased. But she glows, Commander. She shows signs of the old blood. Vrax's eyes narrowed. Then she is more dangerous than we thought. Send the signal. We will burn that human ship from the stars. Back on the Ren, Jace watched the radar. The red dots were closer now. Too close. Raven's voice was calm. 2 minutes until contact. Jace strapped into the pilot seat. Engage defensive shield. Prepare to jump the moment Mira gets here. Affirmative. Luma whimpered in the pod, sensing the danger. Jace glanced back at her. Don't worry. I won't let them hurt you. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. Direct hit on outer hull, Raven said. Shields down to 63%. Jace cursed. Come on, Mira. Hurry. Another blast rocked the ship. Then the radar blinked. A new ship arrived. Fast, sleek, and armed. Mira's voice came through the comm. Get your engines ready, Jace. I'll buy you 60 seconds. Outside, Mira's ship darted between the Tsirina vessels, firing sharp beams of light. One of the enemy ships burst into flame and spun out of control. Inside the Ren, Jace shouted, Raven, now. Jump us out of here. The ship's engine roared. Space twisted. Stars blurred. And then, silence. They had jumped. They were safe. For now. Jace leaned back, breathing hard. He turned to look at Luma. She was staring up at him with wide eyes, glowing brighter than ever. And then, she reached out with one tiny hand and touched his chest. His body jolted. Jace gasped. For a moment, he saw a memory in his mind, not his own, but hers. A vision of her mother, standing over her, looking away coldly. The wind howling, the child crying. And then, nothing. It was like Luma had shared her pain with him. Jace stared at her, stunned. She showed me her memory, he whispered. Raven's voice came through, quiet and unsure. Jace, I believe this child is more than a genetic accident. She may be evolving. Jace stood in silence, looking down at her glowing form. She's not weak, he said. She's just different. He picked her up again, holding her close. And somewhere deep in the ship, a strange symbol flickered on the wall, glowing the same color as Luma's skin. Hunted by the Empire. The stars outside were calm, silent, peaceful. But inside Jace Morgan's mind, everything was chaos. He sat alone in the Ren's cockpit, watching the screen as his ship floated through deep space. The memory Luma had shared with him was still fresh. Her mother abandoning her, the cold wind, the sound of her tiny cries. That memory didn't feel like a dream. It felt real. Too real. She's not just a baby, Jace said out loud. She's something more. Raven, the ship's AI, answered calmly. Her neural activity is increasing. Rapid development. The child is growing at an unnatural pace. Growing how? Jace asked. Intelligence, awareness, possibly. Psychic projection. Jace looked over at the pod. Luma lay peacefully, her skin still glowing gently. She looked so small, so fragile, but somehow She had shared her memory with him. He didn't even know that was possible. Then Raven said something that made his blood run cold. Jace, multiple high-priority communications are spreading across the galaxy. The Syrna Empire has placed a bounty on you. Jace froze. A bounty? Yes, for the crime of rescuing an unfit child. They are calling it a theft of Syrna blood. Price: 10 million galactic credits. Wanted, alive or dead. Jace stood up quickly. They're calling her a crime. Yes, and now bounty hunters, mercenaries, and assassins will all come for you, and the child. Jace's hand tightened into a fist. They can try. The bounty spread fast. Across spaceports, backwater planets, and dark space stations, Jace Morgan's face appeared on every screen. The message was simple. Wanted for mercy. Human scavenger. Stole sacred Syrna infant. Bring him in, or bring their heads. In the shadows of a dusty alien tavern, a large bounty hunter named Krex, part machine and part flesh, stared at the screen with a wide grin. Easy money, he said. Just a soft human and a glowing brat. Another voice from the corner whispered, be careful. That brat made a warship engine melt. Krex laughed. Then I'll wear gloves. Across the galaxy, the hunt had begun. Back on the Ren, Jace and Mira had docked at a secret rebel hideout hidden inside an asteroid. It was cold, dark, and forgotten, but safe for now. Mira leaned against the wall, arms crossed, looking at the baby glowing in the pod. She's cute, she said, voice low. But she's also dangerous. Jace frowned. She's not dangerous. She's just different. Different gets you killed in this galaxy, Mira replied. Jace didn't answer. He looked down at Luma, who was now wide awake. Her big glowing eyes stared right into his soul. She showed me things, Jace said softly. Memories, pain, and fear. Mira raised an eyebrow. She's already linking to you. That's not normal. She's not normal. She's something new. Mira sighed. You know that Xerina will never stop hunting her. They believe weakness is poison. If she lives, she proves their empire is wrong. Exactly, Jace said. That's why we have to protect her. Mira shook her head. You don't understand. This isn't just about saving a baby anymore. This is about shaking an empire. Suddenly, Raven's voice echoed through the room. Warning. Enemy ship detected. High-speed approach. Time to impact. 2 minutes. Jace stood up, eyes sharp. They found us. Confirmed, Raven said. Signature matches known bounty hunter. Krex the Breaker. Mira's face turned pale. Oh no. That guy is not easy to fight. Jace looked over at the pod. We don't run, he said. We protect her. No matter what. Outside the asteroid base, a giant spiked ship approached fast. Its engines were loud, and its weapons were already charged. Inside, Krex smiled and loaded his plasma cannon. Let's make this quick. He blasted a hole straight through the outer layer of the asteroid and jumped inside, armor glowing, cannon ready. Alarms screamed through the Ren as Jace and Mira grabbed their weapons. Defensive systems online, Raven reported. Auto turrets armed. But Krex was fast. He dodged the lasers, smashed through the ship's inner walls, and reached the control room in seconds. Jace stood in front of the pod, weapon raised. Krex aimed his cannon. Move aside, human. I don't need you. Just the kid. Jace's finger tightened on the trigger. You're not touching her. Krex laughed. You gonna stop me with that toy? Mira fired first. 3 blasts hit Krex's armor, but barely made a dent. He roared and charged. A violent fight broke out. Mira was fast and skilled. Jace moved like a trained soldier, but Krex was a beast. Metal arms, thick armor, and no mercy. Then, as Krex lifted Jace and slammed him into the wall, a new light filled the room. Luma. She had floated out of the pod, floating like gravity no longer mattered. Her eyes glowed bright white. Krex turned and saw her. What the? Suddenly, his cannon melted in his hand. The metal twisted like soft clay. Krex screamed. His armor started glowing red. Luma's body floated higher. Her light pulsed like a wave. All around her, wires sparked, metal bent, and Krex dropped to his knees. "Make it stop," he shouted. Jace, lying on the floor, looked up in shock. "Luma, stop. Please. You're okay." The light dimmed. Luma floated back down slowly, her eyes returning to normal. Krex passed out, his armor fried, weapons destroyed. Silence returned. Mira stared, mouth open. Okay, that was not normal. Jace picked Luma up gently. She looked tired, her breathing soft. "She protected us," he whispered. "She wasn't scared." Mira slowly nodded. "That child is a weapon." "No," Jace said. "She's a shield." Later, after the base was secured and Krex was locked in a pod, Jace sat in the med bay with Luma sleeping in his arms. Raven spoke softly. "Jace, her energy signature is changing again." Jace looked down. "What does that mean?" "It means she's learning. Fast. Adapting. Her DNA is rewriting itself." "Into what?" "I don't know," Raven replied. "But she is no longer just Serna. She's becoming something new." Jace looked out the window at the stars. "She's not their mistake. She's their future." And deep in space, the Exerna High Council gathered in silence. A dark figure entered the hall. "She lives," he said. The council whispered in fear. The human raised her. "She glows. She speaks. She fights back." Then the oldest Exerna elder spoke in a cold voice. "Then we will burn every world she touches, and destroy the human who dared to show her mercy." Crash on the forbidden moon. The stars were blinking fast as the Wren tore through space, its engines burning hot, sparks flying from damaged panels. Inside the ship, alarms screamed, and the walls trembled. Jace Morgan gripped the controls tightly. His jaw clenched. Sweat rolled down his forehead. "Raven, give me something good," he shouted over the noise. "No good news, Jace," the AI replied calmly. "Main engine failing. Navigation offline. We're going down." Behind him, Mira was trying to fix a broken panel. "We can't keep flying like this." And in the small med pod, little Luma slept soundly, as if the chaos around her didn't matter. Her glowing skin flickered gently, like a tiny star trying to stay lit in the dark. Then Raven spoke again. "There is one option," she said. "A moon nearby, uninhabited, but dangerous." Jace didn't hesitate. "Set course. We crash together, or not at all." The ship twisted, spiraling down toward a pale gray moon surrounded by green mist. The surface looked cracked and lifeless. No cities, no signals, just strange shapes, giant stone ruins, and wide canyons stretching for miles. Raven warned, "Brace for impact." Jace shouted, "Hold on." The ship roared as it broke through the mist. Metal groaned. Lights flickered. The engines coughed one last time, and then, boom. The Wren slammed into the ground, sliding across rocks and sand before crashing into the side of a large hill. Dust flew everywhere. For a moment, there was only silence. Then Jace coughed and pulled himself out of his seat. His arm was bleeding. His side ached. But he was alive. "Mira," he called. "I'm okay." Her voice came from behind a wall of smoke. "That was fun." Jace stumbled toward the pod. "Luma." The baby was awake, calm, staring at him. Jace smiled despite the pain. "You're tougher than all of us, little star." He gently picked her up and looked around. The ship was badly damaged. Systems offline. No communication. no radar. They were alone. "Raven," he whispered, "where are we?" "This is Moon 7, Cora, also known as the Forgotten Moon. Ancient ruins cover the surface. Species unknown. Local legends say no one returns from here." Jace sighed. "Of course we land on the cursed place." Mira appeared, wiping dirt from her face. "At least no one will find us here." She paused and looked outside the broken window. What she saw made her stop speaking. The moon was beautiful and terrifying. Strange towers rose from the ground like fingers. The air shimmered with green light. The sky was dark, but not black. Something moved up there, floating gently like glowing clouds. Jace wrapped Luma in a soft blanket and stepped outside. The ground felt soft under his boots. The air was cold, but breathable. Then he noticed something strange. Symbols. Glowing symbols on the rocks. They pulsed the same way Luma's skin did. "Raven," he whispered, "you seeing this?" "Yes," the eye replied. These symbols matched the energy patterns in the child. Mira stepped beside him. "What does that mean?" Jace looked down at Luma. "I think she belongs here." They followed the glowing symbols into a canyon. The deeper they walked, the warmer the air became. Strange plants glowed near the walls. Purple vines, blue flowers, and floating spores that danced in the wind. It didn't feel dead anymore. It felt alive and watching. At one point, Jace touched a symbol on the wall. It flashed brightly. Then something strange happened. A wave of memory hit him, but it wasn't his. He saw a tall alien, its face like Luma's, standing in front of a temple, holding a child, speaking a word in a language he didn't know, but somehow understood. "Luma." He gasped and pulled his hand back. "What did you see?" Mira asked. "She's not the first," Jace said. "This moon, it's a part of her past, or her kind's past." They reached a large open space deep in the canyon. At the center stood a massive stone gate, carved with more glowing marks, and in front of it, a platform with an ancient design. Jace felt a pull in his chest. Luma was reaching toward it. Without a word, he stepped onto the platform. The ground lit up. And then, everything changed. A beam of light shot into the sky. The gate opened slowly. Inside was a vast chamber glowing with soft white light. The walls were made of smooth crystal, and the ceiling sparkled like stars. In the center stood a tall statue, a female figure, holding a child close to her chest. The face looked just like Luma's. "She's been here before," Jace whispered. "Or her kind has." He stepped closer and saw more carvings on the floor. Images of people, running, hiding, holding children, showing kindness, and others, destroying, killing, wearing armor like the Xerna. A war. A great war between mercy and strength. "Raven," Jace said. "Are these prophecies?" "No," Raven replied. "These are memories." Mira knelt beside a panel. "Look at this. It shows a child with light inside her. She stops the war. She brings peace. She's a symbol," Jace said. "A new beginning." Behind them, Luma floated forward. Her tiny feet didn't touch the floor. She stopped at the statue, placed her hand on its chest, and the entire room lit up. Bright, warm, alive. The ground shook. Then the walls shifted, revealing something hidden inside the statue, a glowing crystal with the same energy as Luma. She reached for it. It floated into her hands. And then her body began to change. Not in shape, not in size, but in light. She glowed brighter than ever. Her eyes shone like twin stars. Her voice, soft, clear, spoke a single word. "Home." Jace's heart stopped. She talked. Mira stepped back. "Okay, that's new." But before they could speak, Raven gave another alert. "Warning. Xerna ship detected. Cloaked. Near orbit. Jace's joy turned into fear. They followed us. Confirmed, Raven said. They're not here to talk. Mira grabbed her weapon. Looks like we're fighting again. Jace looked down at Luma, still glowing, still holding the crystal. He bent down and whispered, "Can you stop them?" Luma looked into his eyes and nodded once. Then she floated to the entrance of the chamber. Outside, the Tserna dropship was landing. Black armored soldiers poured out, weapons ready. They didn't expect what came next. A wall of light exploded from the canyon. It hit the soldiers like a wave, pushing them back. Their weapons melted. Their armor cracked. The canyon shook. Jace and Mira ran outside to see the battle. But it wasn't a battle. It was a message. Luma stood in the center of the light, arms raised. Her energy pulsed across the moon. The symbols on every rock glowed with her. She was speaking, not in words, but in light. The Tserna soldiers fell to their knees. They weren't hurt. They were crying. Mira's voice was barely a whisper. "What is she doing?" Jace answered softly. "She's showing them mercy." And one by one, the soldiers dropped their weapons and walked away. No war, no fire, just peace. Luma floated back to Jace's arms, tired but smiling. The moon was silent again. But now it felt like home. Betrayal among the stars. The stars looked calm again, too calm. After the event on the Forgotten Moon, Jace, Mira, and Luma had returned to the Wren. The ship was still damaged, but the systems were running just enough to fly. Jace stood alone near the front window, watching the crystal Luma had found. It now floated in a clear container, humming with soft light. It looked like a small star. He reached toward it, and the crystal responded, pulsing, reacting to his touch. Somehow, it recognized him. Or maybe it recognized what he had done. Behind him, Mira walked in, carrying 2 mugs of hot drink. "You still staring at that thing?" she asked. Jace nodded. "It's not just a rock. It's alive, or connected to something. Older. Or more dangerous," Mira added. He looked over at Luma, who was sleeping quietly in her pod. Her glow had faded a little. After what she did on the moon, she had been very tired. She used a part of herself to stop that battle, Jace said. She didn't hurt them. She showed them peace. That's power I've never seen before. Mira sipped her drink and sat down. And that's exactly why people will want to use her, or destroy her. They both fell silent. Then Raven interrupted. "Incoming call." "Who is it?" Jace asked. "Encrypted channel." "From Admiral Wren." Jace's eyes widened. "Wren," Mira repeated. "You served with him, right?" Jace nodded slowly. "Long time ago. Earth Defense Fleet. He saved my life once." "Then let's hope he's still the same man." Jace pressed the button. A familiar face appeared on the screen. Older now, gray hair, sharp eyes, wearing a clean military uniform. His voice was strong, but there was a hint of warmth. "Jace, still flying junk ships, I see." Jace smiled faintly. "Wren, still bossing fleets around." Wren chuckled. "I heard rumors. About a human and an alien child. About glowing lights. Peace on a battlefield. And I thought, that sounds like Jace Morgan." Jace nodded. "The rumors are true. I want to help," Wren said. "I have a secure station. Medical care. Protection. Bring her in. We'll figure this out." Jace hesitated. Wren saw the doubt. "You trust me, don't you?" Jace looked over at Mira. She didn't speak, but her eyes were cautious. "Okay," Jace said. "Sending coordinates." 2 days later, the Wren reached the station. It floated near a blue gas giant, hidden behind an asteroid belt. The structure was massive, white metal, spinning slowly, with defense cannons lining the edges. But no weapons were aimed at them. They docked safely. As Jace stepped off the ship, holding Luma in his arms, a group of guards saluted. But they didn't stare at the baby. They acted like nothing was strange. Ren waited near the entrance. He smiled when he saw Jace. "Welcome home, old friend." Jace smiled back. "You've got a nice place." Ren's eyes fell on Luma. He stepped forward, gently touched her tiny hand. "She's beautiful," he said. "And calm. Doesn't feel like a monster to me." "She's not," Jace replied. "She's a miracle." Ren led them inside. They walked through wide halls filled with humans and a few peaceful aliens. The atmosphere felt professional, but not cold. They entered a private room with soft lights and food ready on the table. Ren motioned to sit. "Tell me everything." Jace did. He spoke about the crater, the cry, the rescue, the chase, the moon, the light, the soldiers who dropped their weapons. Ren listened carefully, nodding slowly. When Jace finished, Ren said, This changes everything." "She's not just a child," Jace said. "She's proof that mercy can be stronger than fear." Ren stood and walked to the window. "Do you know what the Xerna are saying now? That she's a weapon sent by Earth to destroy their culture. They're calling it a holy war." "She's just a baby," Jace said. "But to them, she's a threat to their entire belief system," Ren replied. He turned to face Jace. "I want to help her, but I need time. Time to talk to leaders, to calm things down. Can you leave her here? Just for a short while. She'll be protected." Jace looked unsure. Mira said nothing, arms crossed, watching everything. Luma, still in Jace's arms, opened her eyes. She didn't cry. She didn't reach out. She just stared at Ren, and something in her eyes made Jace pause. "I don't know," he said. "Something doesn't feel right." Ren smiled softly. "You've been running for weeks. Let someone else carry the weight." But before Jace could reply, Raven's voice suddenly burst through the comm in his earpiece. "Jace, emergency alert. I've accessed the station logs. Hidden file found. Marked for deletion." Jace touched his ear. "What does it say?" Raven's voice turned grim. "This station sent a message 3 days ago to the Xerna High Council. Coordinates, and a phrase, 'We have the child.'" Jace's blood turned cold. He looked at Ren. "You betrayed me." Ren didn't flinch. "I made a deal, Jace. 1 child, in exchange for peace. Billions of lives. No war. She's not a bargaining chip. She's 1 life," Ren said calmly. "Sacrifice 1 to save many." "No," Jace growled. "That's the same lie that Xerna believe. That kindness is weakness. You're just like them." Mira reached for her weapon. "What now, Admiral?" Ren sighed and pressed a button on his wrist. The door locked. Red lights flashed. "Now," Ren said, "I take the child." But he didn't get the chance. Luma's glow exploded. The room filled with white light. Ren stumbled back. His guards fell to the ground. Electronics sparked and died. And then the light vanished. Jace stood protectively in front of Luma. Mira aimed her gun. Ren backed away, hands raised. "I didn't mean to hurt her," he said. "I just wanted to stop the war." "You already started one," Jace said. They ran. Through the halls, alarms blaring, guards chasing. But Luma, held close in Jace's arms, kept them safe. Doors opened. Cameras shorted out. Guns jammed. It was like the station itself was helping her escape. They reached the ship. Raven had already unlocked the systems. "Engines ready," the AI said. As they launched, enemy ships tried to stop them. But they failed. The Ren jumped to hyperspace. Safe. For now. Inside, Jace sat down hard, his hands shaking. Mira looked at him. That was close. Jace nodded. Too close. He looked down at Luma. She was quiet. Her light dim. "She knew," he whispered. She knew he would betray us. She trusted you to protect her, Mira said. Jace held Luma close. I won't fail her. But deep in space, the Xerna Emperor received a message. A human voice. Admiral Wren. I tried. I failed. She escaped. The Emperor growled. Then she will learn. Mercy has a cost. Rise of the hybrid. Space was silent. But inside the Wren, something was changing. Something ancient, powerful, and alive. Jace Morgan sat beside the medpod, watching Luma as she slept. Her small body was wrapped in a heat blanket, but her skin flickered with strange light. Gold, silver, violet, like starlight dancing beneath her skin. For hours now, the lights had shifted, pulsed, and grown brighter. Jace had seen her survive wounds, fly through the air, and stop battles with her mind. But this was different. This was evolution. Raven, he whispered, what's happening to her? The AI answered quietly. Her DNA is rewriting. Her cells are adapting. Faster than I've ever recorded. She is no longer fully Xerna. Then what is she? Unknown, Raven replied. But her biology now contains both Xerna and human-like patterns. Jace looked stunned. You mean she's becoming like us? No, Raven said. Not like us. Something new. Jace leaned back, eyes wide. She's a hybrid. He looked over at Mira, who stood silently near the ship's observation deck, watching the stars blur past. She's not safe anywhere, Jace said. Earth would dissect her. The Xerna want to kill her. And now the whole galaxy's afraid of her. Mira didn't answer at first. Then she said, she's not the one they're afraid of. Jace looked at her. They're afraid of what she means. Mira continued. That kindness can lead to strength. That love isn't weakness. If that's true, then their whole system, their whole galaxy, is wrong. Jace sat in silence. He remembered the old war back on Earth, how commanders made soldiers feel nothing. No emotion, no connection. But when his daughter was born, he finally understood something he never learned on the battlefield. Love gives you something to fight for. Now he felt it again, with Luma. Suddenly, Raven gave a soft alert. Luma's vitals are stabilizing. She's waking. Jace stood quickly and rushed to the pod. Luma's eyes opened slowly, no longer white, but glowing silver. Her gaze was calm, wise. She looked older somehow. Not in years, but in spirit. She stared up at Jace. Then, for the second time, she spoke. Papa. Jace froze. His voice cracked. You, remember that word. Luma reached out and touched his cheek. Her small hand glowed. Then Jace saw something. A vision. Not hers. His own memory. His daughter, laughing in a field of grass on Earth. Then the memory changed. Luma was there. She was smiling beside him. Jace gasped. You can share memories. Luma nodded slowly. Raven spoke. Her mental capacity has increased. She is learning through emotional memory. Jace held her gently, overwhelmed. You're growing so fast, he whispered. Too fast. Luma looked into his eyes. Then she said something that shook him. I chose this. Jace blinked. You? What? I chose to become this. When you saved me, you gave me a path. Her voice was slow, childlike, but clear. I was weak. They left me. But you gave me love. That gave me power. Tears filled Jace's eyes. I'm just a scavenger, he whispered. I didn't have anything. I just didn't want you to die. And that, she said, made me live. The ship grew quiet. Even Mira was speechless. Then Raven gave a new alert. Incoming signal. Galaxy-wide broadcast. Jace activated the holoscreen. A familiar face appeared. The Xerna Emperor. Dark. Cold. his eyes burning with hate. This message is for all who hear. The creature known as Luma is not a child. She is a disease. She threatens the order of our galaxy. He growled. She must be surrendered, or planets will burn. This is not a request. This is a warning. The screen went dark. Jace clenched his fists. He's afraid of her. Yes, Mira said. And that makes him dangerous. Raven interrupted. Another signal. This one is different. Not Sirena. Jace opened it. A young alien woman appeared. Soft features. Green skin. Golden eyes. She looked nervous, but determined. My name is Sarai of the Nilari people. We saw what the child did. We watched the battle on the moon. We saw how she stopped it. With peace. She leaned forward. We don't want war. We want her message. Her light. Behind her, dozens of others appeared on screen. Different species. Different faces. One by one, they spoke. We believe in her. She is hope. She is what we lost long ago. She is the future. Jace's chest tightened. The galaxy wasn't turning against her. Part of it was turning toward her. Then Raven gave one more alert. Sirena war fleet approaching. 12 ships, weapons armed. Jace looked out the window. The darkness of space was now filled with shadows. Large ships, shaped like blades, floating closer. This is it, Mira said. We can't fight that. Jace looked at Luma. You don't have to do this, he said. We can run again. I'll keep you safe. But Luma shook her head. I'm not running. She floated up, glowing brighter than ever. Then she said, softly, open the hatch. Jace hesitated. Please, she said. He nodded. The hatch opened to the stars. Luma floated out into space, alone, glowing like a sun. And then she spoke to the galaxy. Her voice echoed through every ship, every station, every planet listening. I was born unwanted, left to die. I was weak, but I was saved by love. And now I know, mercy is not weakness. Kindness is not shame. It is power. It is the power to stop the endless pain. I will not fight you, but I will not run. I stand here as a child of both fear and hope, and I choose hope. Her light spread. Across ships, across planets. The war fleet paused. Then something impossible happened. One Sirena ship turned around. Then another. And another. Until only the Emperor's ship remained. Inside his throne room, he screamed. She poisoned them. But his guards were silent. Even they had seen it. Not a weapon. Not a disease. A symbol. A bridge between species. A child born from pain, but raised by love. Back on the Ren, Jace watched in awe. Mira whispered. She changed everything. Jace looked down, eyes full of tears. She's not just a hybrid, he said. She's the beginning of something better. The father and the future. The galaxy had changed. Across systems and stars, people were still talking about what had happened near the asteroid belt, about the glowing child who stood alone in space and spoke to billions with no weapons, no soldiers, just words. And those words, somehow, were stronger than war. For Jace Morgan, everything had changed too. He now stood on a green world called HFY, a peaceful planet that had once been forgotten. But now it was something new, a place where those who believed in Luma's message were building something different. Not an empire, not an army, a home. Jace walked along a small path surrounded by flowers that glowed at night. Birds with crystal feathers flew above. Strange trees stretched toward the golden sky. But his eyes were on the small figure walking ahead of him. Luma, no longer a baby, no longer just a child. She was taller now, still young in body, but wise beyond her years. Her skin still shimmered, her eyes still glowed, but softer now, gentler. She wore simple clothes, bare feet in the grass, A peaceful light followed her. People called her the hybrid of hope. To Jace, she was still just his daughter. "Papa," she said, turning and smiling at him. "Come see this." Jace chuckled and jogged forward. He found her standing in front of a new structure, half temple, half learning center. Children of different species ran around it. Some human, some Sirena, some with glowing eyes like hers. "Do you like it?" she asked. Jace nodded slowly. "It's beautiful." "They built it," she said. "All of them. Together." He smiled. "Because of you." She shook her head. "Because of us." For a moment, they stood in silence, watching a human boy share fruit with a Xerna girl. Years ago, such a scene would have been impossible, unthinkable. But now it was real. Then Mira walked over, holding a communicator. Her face was serious. "We've received a message," she said. "From who?" Jace asked. "Earth's High Council. They want to meet Luma. Not for testing. For something bigger." Jace raised an eyebrow. "What do they want?" Mira handed him the message. He read the words slowly. "To Luma, we were wrong. We saw you as a threat. Now we see you as a bridge. Will you help us rebuild what we broke?" Luma looked at him. "Should I go?" Jace smiled. "That's up to you now." Luma nodded slowly. "Then let's go. Together." They traveled to Earth aboard the Wren, now fully repaired and updated with new tech. As the ship entered Earth's orbit, Jace felt a strange mix of emotions. It had been years since he left this place. He once thought he'd never return. Now he was back, not as a soldier, not as a scavenger. As a father. When they landed, Earth leaders stood in silence, waiting on the platform. Cameras surrounded them. Billions watched across the world. Luma stepped forward. The president of Earth knelt and bowed his head. "We were afraid of what you are, but now we are honored by what you've become." Luma raised her hand, and he stood. Then she spoke, clear and strong. "I was born from two worlds, one that left me behind, and one that picked me up. Both worlds made me who I am. I do not hate the past. I carry it, but I will not repeat it." She looked around. "We do not need to be the same to stand together. I am not here to rule. I am not here to fight. I am here to remind you. Mercy is strength. Love is power. And kindness is a choice." The world fell silent. And then they clapped. Slowly at first, then louder, until it became a storm of applause. Tears rolled down Jace's face. Mira whispered, "She's changing everything." Jace nodded. "She already has." Months passed. A new alliance was formed, the Accord of Light, a council made up of humans, Xerna defectors, Nilari, and many other species. Their mission, peace through unity, not control. Luma never accepted a title. No queen, no prophet. She just called herself a student, always learning, always growing. And Jace, he opened a small home on Arena 5. He fixed old ships, told stories to local kids. Sometimes, when they asked if the tales were true, he just smiled and said, "Every word." At night, he would sit under the stars, a warm drink in hand, and sometimes Luma would join him. They would talk about everything and nothing, about life, pain, and hope. One night, Luma said something he never forgot. "I'm not afraid anymore." He looked at her. "Of what?" "Of being alone," she replied. "Because I never was." Jace didn't speak. He just pulled her close. She leaned her head on his shoulder, and for the first time in years, the galaxy slept in peace. But in a quiet corner of deep space, a single Xerna ship drifted alone. Inside, the former emperor, now stripped of his title and power, stared at a screen. He watched the girl, watched the world that now listened to her. He had tried to stop her. He had failed. One of his guards, now loyal to the Accord, turned to him and said, "She won." The emperor whispered back, voice bitter and broken, "No, kindness won." And then, for the first time in his life, he cried. Epilogue. The legacy of light. Years passed. Luma's story became legend. Children read it in schools. Songs were written. Paintings made. But Jace's favorite memory was not the battles, or the speeches, or the peace treaties. It was one quiet morning. He had fallen asleep in the chair outside their home. The sun was rising, and Luma, now a teenager, placed a warm blanket over him. "Rest, Papa," she whispered. "You've done enough." And in that moment, he knew. The galaxy was in good hands.